take the stage. Next, we're so honored to have Attorney General Jeff Jackson with us today. Is my mic not on? But the person coming after me is very tall. Okay, well, we'll just go from there. All right. Next, we're honored to have Attorney General Jeff Jackson with us today. To introduce him, I would like to welcome Dr. Alice Ammerman, Director of the UNC Center for Health Promotion and Disease Prevention. In 2014, our program was adopted by the center because of Alice's enthusiasm and courage and her belief in what we were doing. Here we are, these 12 years later, and we're still with the center, and we're so proud to be affiliated with the center and with UNC. So thank you for your leadership, Alice, and now please take the stage.
It's always a pleasure to attend this conference, one of the best that I'd attend all year instead of the nerdy academic conferences. And it's extra special to be here in Asheville. We're so proud of the Child Hunger Initiative and the work that they do with all of you. You all are the ones who make this happen. I'm really honored to introduce AG Jeff Jackson as the 51st Attorney General of North Carolina. He has been a tireless advocate for the SNAP program, teaming up with other AGs across the country to fight against the many budget cuts impacting our children. Let's hear it for. A.G. Jackson has served the country and the state for many years. He served in the military in Afghanistan and continues to serve for 23 years now as a major in the Army National Guard. He served as North Carolina State Senator for 8 years and represented North Carolina's 14th district in Congress. In addition to defending the SNAP program, A.G. Jackson has helped restore $165 million in public education funding for North Carolina public schools. He helped build homes, physically helping to build the homes, during the one-year anniversary of Hurricane Helene, and protected Helene victims from scammers. He is leading bipartisan efforts with other AGs to protect children from predatory AI, and is even taking on robocallers and spammers. Yes, I hope he's successful with that. Attorney General Jackson is known for his effective and often entertaining use of social media, sometimes involving his children, and always explaining complicated things very clearly. One of my favorite stories that went viral nationally is when he was in the NC General Assembly in 2015, and on a snowy, icy day was the only legislator that showed up for work for the General Assembly. He declared himself a quorum of one and voted in all kinds of beneficial legislation for the people of North Carolina. And he described the imaginary process on social media, got lots of followers. At one point he tweeted, "Just came back from the Senate chamber, all votes were unanimous." So, A.G. Jackson, it's been a snowy, icy winter. If you find yourself, even though you're not passing laws anymore, either by yourself or with other people, if you find yourself in a similar position of influence, we have a number of ideas for how you can continue your much appreciated support for child nutrition. Thank you for joining us today, and take the stage, Attorney General Jeff Jackson.
Hello. is great. I was backstage thinking about my speech, and I thought, you know, this is the orange peel. This place is for performance. So I threw out my speech, and for the next 20 minutes, I'll be doing an interpretive dance. Mr. Banjo, take it away. All right, no. We're going to go back to the speech. This is a great location. Thank you to the Orange Peel for having everybody and being such wonderful hosts. We love you all. I saw on the sign coming in that March 11th, Jordan Jensen will be here. She's a hilarious comedian. If you don't know about her, you need to stop by March 11th and see Jordan. Very kind introduction from Dr. Ammerman. I was Googling her last night. She should be giving the keynote address. Her resume is remarkable, the amount of good that she has done, the mission that she feels around this issue is just remarkable. Also, she works in the Gilling School of Public Health at UNC. Oh yeah, that makes sense that we would have a lot of you here. My confession to you is that when I was at law school at UNC, I would do almost all of my studying, like 99% of it, in the Gilling School building, because it's just the most beautiful, relaxing building, away from the stress factory that was UNC School of Law. So appreciate you letting me trespass. This is, as I'm sure you all have been told, as I was told the first time this conference is being held outside of Chapel Hill, very intentional and thoughtful that it is being held out here in Western North Carolina. I think we all get the message about why that is appropriate under these circumstances and in this moment. Very much appreciated. I have a lot of things that I could talk to you about. NCDOJ, very big organization. We have 1,000 employees. We have 10,000 active cases. We're doing all kinds of things on your behalf. We're fighting fentanyl and out west meth. Meth is much more prevalent in Western North Carolina than it is in Eastern North Carolina. Cocaine is more prevalent in Eastern North Carolina because it comes up I-95. Meth is more prevalent in Western North Carolina because it's coming from Mexico along the interstates here. Things I've learned as AG. I could talk about fighting FEMA. So we have taken FEMA to court twice to get a couple $100 million out of them for the state. In our biggest case with them, which was over $200 million, they have since refused to pay, so we announced that we are taking them back to court a few days ago as a motion to compel to get them to pay. Or I could really spend the next 10 minutes just talking about robocalls and everything we're doing there. I know how you feel. I feel the same way. We get 200 million robocalls a month as a state, by the way. We are going to war against it. That's for a later conference. But the reason why I'm invited to this particular conference is to talk about our major point of intersection between the work that you do and the work that our office has done, which over the last years has been our litigation involving SNAP, and the very close call that our state and our country had with closing off those benefits completely, and the catastrophe that would have resulted if that had been allowed to happen. So here's the story with that and with our involvement. Coincidentally, I was here. I was at an event in support of Pisgah Legal Services. Not sure if anybody here knows Pisgah Legal Services. Great group, deserves your support. They were doing their big annual event at Thomas Wolfe Auditorium, which is all of about half a mile from here, and I was leaving there. I was like 9:30 at night, I guess, and I got a call from my chief deputy, and if she calls after 9 o'clock, that ain't good. And I remember picking up the phone and saying, this can't be good. And she said, yeah, we just got notice that all SNAP benefits for the nation are going to be cut off November 1st. This was October 24th. And I said, aren't there like 1 million people on SNAP? And she said, yeah, I think so. She said, are we going to get into it? I said, yeah, we're going to get into it. Let's schedule a meeting for tomorrow morning with our team and see what our litigation options are. And then I got in my car and I started Googling SNAP. And within about 60 seconds, I got that sinking feeling of, oh, this could be a real catastrophe. It's 1.4 million people just in North Carolina. It's 1 in 4 kids, which is about 600,000 kids. It's 40,000 babies in North Carolina. We filed our suit with a number of other AGs. Just a couple days later, the most important part of the lawsuit requested a temporary restraining order because we knew we had very little time. And as you know about these lawsuits, they can take months, they can take years. We didn't have that time. We needed the court to act immediately. So what we requested from the court was literally a restraining order against the federal government to stop them from allowing this to happen. And if you followed this issue at the time, you remember what our argument was. Our argument was the Agriculture Department has an emergency fund of billions of dollars that exists for this purpose that they told us when the shutdown began they had set aside and were ready to use for this purpose if it became necessary, that they then decided not to use, to just keep on the shelf. And what we said, our argument was, actually, you can't do that. Congress provided those funds to you. They're not your funds to withhold. And you have very clear instructions from Congress about how it went to use that money, and that includes exactly this situation, as you told us just a few weeks ago. Fortunately, a court agreed. And right before the funding was going to be cut off, we got a court to say, no, you can't do that. You have to provide these funds. There was one wrinkle. Because that wasn't going to be quite enough money to pay for the entire month of funds, the court said, you can do a partial payment in order to stretch those funds. And for those of you who are familiar with this type of work in the back-end administration of SNAP benefits, we have folks from DHHS who are here, saying on the fly, actually we can do partial payments and it's up to the state to figure out how to administer that, that is a monumental burden to throw on the state at light speed. NCDHHS, the unsung heroes of this whole thing, they brought together everybody who knew anything about their coding system and how it worked. We're talking dozens of people, and had them working in shifts 24 hours a day to make sure that there wasn't a gap in benefits. And it took dozens of people going all out. The type of effort that the state will never have any visibility on. The type of public servants the state will never know to thank. At NCDOJ, the highest award that we give is called the Dogwood Award. And it goes to all kinds of very deserving people who do deserving things. We just had it. It's my first time as AG presiding over the Dogwood Awards. We had it a couple weeks ago. And it went to lots of great people. The last set of folks that it went to were all the people at NCDHHS who combined to really pull off this miracle with very short time. And it was a wonderful moment for me to use what little spotlight I have to shine on these unsung heroes who did this amazing thing. Had it not been for them, it would have been a direct impact. Food would not have been on the table for over 1 million people across the state, for hundreds of thousands of kids. And in my line of work, a lot of the fights that we suit up for are a little abstract. They're about defense of your rights, defense of rule of law, defense of Constitution. There is no question in my mind, and my team and I have talked about this, there is a consensus in our office. The most meaningful work that we have done over the last year was this specific fight about SNAP, and NCDHHS was our key partner in this. I'm so grateful to them and to everybody who joined us in this effort. Specifically grateful to Claire Neal. She helped us with joining that initial lawsuit. One of the ways that we made our argument, because a bunch of states making an argument, and every state wanted to put the most relevant and sensitive facts high up into that lawsuit. We chose the focus to be on Western North Carolina and the impact that would be felt to these counties that were still reeling from the hurricane. Claire was really helpful in joining us with that and in getting us a lot of that information. We were able to feature McDowell County specifically in the lawsuit because a third of the people in McDowell County rely on SNAP benefits. Buncombe County, it's over 30,000 people. So the downside of all this was it was a terrifying moment. And a bunch of you had to spring into crisis mode. And that was uncomfortable and scary for everybody. But I submit to you that there was a big upside. That SNAP benefits, the role that they play, has now been underscored in the minds of tens of millions of Americans who otherwise had it in the back of their mind, who didn't really understand the importance of that particular program, and who didn't really understand the prevalence of food insecurity in our country, in their own neighborhoods, who had to confront that fact only when the rug was about to get pulled out. And all of a sudden they realized, oh, this isn't going to happen to other people. This is going to happen to Dave. This is going to happen to my son's friends at school, because now I'm getting emails, as Marissa and I did, from teachers in my kids' school saying, we have a lot of kids who depend on SNAP, and because this is about to go away, we're doing an instant food drive. Having parents go, oh, I had no idea that many children were this dependent on this kind of help and were this vulnerable to this type of disruption. If nothing else, a really important education for our state and our country here. One last thing I want to mention, the SNAP litigation that we were involved in got a lot of attention, deservedly so. Since then, there was actually a much bigger SNAP lawsuit. They took a second run at it. If they had been successful, it would have hit North Carolina SNAP for over $400 million. But we won again in court. We got another restraining order, and that saved the program. If that hadn't happened, it would have been a complete disaster for our state. I expect this to happen again. I expect to go to court over this again. And we're going to win again because we've got the facts on our side. Thank you all for what you do. I really appreciate the invitation to be here and to speak on this. I fully recognize that this is your story. You are the driving force for the good work that happens in this space. I had the remarkable privilege of being able, in a particular moment, to tell your story. And it was because of the good work that you do that we were able to do that in a way that proved to be effective. I'm so grateful for you. My entire team is grateful for you. And I'll see you soon. Take care. Thanks. Thanks. You're the man.